lived in Berkeley, California. She had received in 54 sessions a rambling story that was part rant, part memoir, delivered by a spirit named Bibi Chen. The name startled me. There was a well-known woman by that name in my hometown, San Francisco. She had been a socialite and the owner of a landmark shop on Union Square, the Immortals, which sold decorative Asian antiques. She died under bizarre circumstances that were never fully explained. Karen Lundgaard described Bibi Chen accurately. A petite, feisty Chinese woman, opinionated and hilarious when she didn't intend to be. I had a passing acquaintance with Bibi Chen, but I could not say I knew her personally. We exchanged brief hellos at the usual fundraisers for the arts or the Asian American community. Her name was often bold-faced in the social columns, and she was much photographed wearing dramatic garb, along with a multicolored braid and false eyelashes as thick as hummingbird wings. Karen had transcribed Bibi's voice in pencil on yellow legal pads. This began as spastic marks and jerky false starts, then gave way to pages of frantic squiggles and drunken scrawls, and gradually loped into the smooth shape of handwriting. It was as if I were seeing the electroencephalogram of the brain-dead being resuscitated, a marionette whose strings had been jerked into animation. Page after seamless page flowed with generous application of exclamation points and heavily underlined phrases, the style most beginning writers are cautioned against using. When I returned to San Francisco, I met with Karen Lundgaard several times at her bungalow, stuffed with arcana, and by her description, tag sale items. She was quite frail, debilitated by metastatic breast cancer, which she had long known she had, but for which she had been unable to get adequate treatment because she lacked medical insurance. "If you mention anything about me," she said, "tell people that." Although she was quite ill, she welcomed my peppering her with questions. Her sessions with Bibi Chen, she said, were professionally gratifying because the spirit came through with great clarity. The connection to other spirits, she explained, was often indistinct, similar to mobile phone calls that go in and out of range. Bibi has a very pushy personality, she explained. I wondered if I might witness an automatic writing session. Karen promised to try, but said it would have to be later when she felt better. Receiving drained her energy. However these writings came to be, I decided the material was irresistible. At a city known for its characters, Bibi Chen was the genuine article, a true San Franciscan. Without giving away her story, I will mention only that she talked about 11 tourists missing in Burma, who were the subject of news headlines for weeks, a story readers may well recognize. While Karen Lundgaard may have constructed from what she had already read in the news, her writings contained details that were not reported, according to people I later interviewed. Whether one believes in communication with the dead or not, readers are willing to suspend disbelief when immersed in fiction. We want to believe that the world we have entered through the portals of another's imagination indeed exists, that the narrator is or has been among us. And so I've written a story, as that, fiction inspired by Karen Lundgaard's automatic writings. I retained Bibi's religious and racial comments that may be offensive or humorous depending on the reader's politics. A few people who were part of the real events asked that I not use their names, and while I was not able to confirm some details that Bibi gave, I left in those I found interesting. Hence there may be errors of fact. Then again, the nature of many people's recollections entails some degree of embellishment, exaggeration, and the bias of opinion. Although you may think this book was as effortless to write as those dictated by Patience Worth, I relied on the assistance of many to assemble the pieces. For interviews, I thank people too numerous to name, but you know who you are. I am grateful to the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco and the American Society for Psychical Research in New York for opening their doors to me. I hope readers will visit their collections and give generous